I don't think, I know for a fact it's a globe.
Are you willing to change your mind on this?
I'm not. The evidence is so much.
I'm Jim Underdown, Executive Director of the Center for Inquiry West in Los Angeles and the chair of the CFI Investigations Group.
I'm Spencer Marks, one of the senior members of the CFI Investigations Group, Science Advocate.
I am Mali Nayeri. I'm a theoretical physicist, and I'm with the University of Irvine.
On the beach.
Yeah.
Can you see a ship which is going?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the ship that goes
Yes.
over the curvature of
Okay.
the Earth. I love it. So science has said that when I see a ship go out of my field of view, it's going over the curvature of the Earth, correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
But then I bring my P900 up, and guess what? I can zoom it back in.
Not
So
all
is
of
it
it,
going over the curvature of the Earth or not?
Absolutely.
Not
So
all
is
of
it going over the curvature of the Earth or not?
Absolutely.
How's it going, man?
Very good. Yeah, I'm Matt.
Yeah, I'm Connor. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. And second, obviously being the major one, is that we can't detect curvature. The globe model's a little bit problematic.
There's plenty of experiments that show the curvature of the Earth. I happen to live by the coast. I've got a really expansive view out onto the Atlantic, and I can see the ships and I can see them dip down over the horizon. So I've physically seen the curvature for myself.
There is one simple thought experiment that debunks all of the scientists who make this same claim. The fact this thought experiment was not thought of by the scientists is very telling. Many mainstream scientists have made the claim boats disappearing over the ocean horizon is evidence of Earth's curvature. You see, for their claim to be true, their claim must also apply to land.
For me to even start talking about, because there are so many proofs that the Earth is round, it's difficult to know where to start. There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round. So let's start from the simple to the slightly more complicated. One of the things you can see yourself with a pair of binoculars is if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake, the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear, and you'll basically just see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved. And that means that as it goes farther and farther away, you see less and less of the bottom of it and more of the top of that. You can see that with binoculars, by an ocean, by a lake. It's really easy. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. You would simply see the boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it went farther away, but you'd be able to see the whole thing with the same proportion.
Then the other thing, if you want to get into this, if you're really serious, if your friends are really serious, have them get on a boat or a ship and go out at sea, and you'll notice you can't see infinitely far. Furthermore, if you get into it enough, pick up a book about navigation or go online and learn about navigation. A very, very important thing you have to take into account when you try to navigate the ocean from a ship or a boat is how high you are off the sea surface. The higher you are off the sea surface, the farther you can see, the farther away the horizon is.
If the scientists are right about objects disappearing over the curve in the ocean, this should also apply to land. But no objects will disappear over the horizon at any time when viewed from the highest points of land. If the boat were on land moving away from the observer, would it disappear over the horizon? No. The only way the boat disappears on land is being out of visual range and blocked by atmospheric conditions. Wonder why the scientists haven't done this experiment over land to prove their point, because it is impossible and disproves their claim. They will never be able to show an object disappearing over any curve on land. The illusion would be completely exposed on land. Stand on the tallest mountain with your most expensive long-range camera lens. No matter how far an object is moved away, it will only disappear due to viewing distance, pollution, and atmospheric conditions. You will never witness it disappearing over a curve, maybe disappearing behind mountains, trees, or other obstructions, but never, ever, 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 ever a curve. The thought experiment is so simple, surely at least one of the scientists would have thought of it to debunk their own claim, no? Perhaps they intentionally do not use the experiment because it gives evidence of the flat Earth. But what about all those NASA space pictures and videos? NASA graphic designer Robert Simmons says there wasn't even half an image of the full Earth until 2002. Then what are all of these Apollo photos of Earth from the moon, Robert? Who was the NASA CGI graphic designer in the 70s?
In 2002, Blue Marble 2.0, NASA's Rob Simmons made this. And it had wide appeal too. For example, it ended up as the default background on the iPhone.
I didn't even know until I bought an iPhone and turned it on and kind of did a little happy dance.
Simmons' job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
To us, the really cool thing was the data set. Up until that point, there was no realistic color map of the globe anywhere.
So the land layer here comes from
the Moderate Resolution Imaging Spectroradiometer aboard Terra.
And the tricky part here was the weather.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on. Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space, but I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Oh, but the Earth is photoshopped because it has to be. It has to be. Am I in the fucking Matrix among zombies? Little Rob admits the imagery is photoshopped, yet billions are funded to see NASA fake images. People are dying on the streets, taxed to death, sent to prison for profits, and having money donated to NASA for their fake fucking pictures. NASA imagery and any affiliate is completely discredited when they openly admit fake imagery. The boat over the curve is completely dismissed because it's impossible to show any object disappearing over a curve on land. A flat Earth is hidden from the public. A flat Earth shows that we were created, Earth was created, synthetically, artificially, by someone or something different from all other round planets within sight. When the lie of our planet's shape is recognized, it leads to questioning everything else which was taught as reality.
I actually said this to somebody, and I couldn't believe they'd never thought of it. That, you know, with binoculars, you can see planets. You can see Saturn and Jupiter. You can see Mars with a telescope, the sun, the moon. Everything else you see in the solar system is a sphere. So we're the one thing that is different.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.